Welcome. My name is Peter Strong, and I am a professional online therapist specializing in mindfulness therapy. This is a particular approach to healing anxiety and depression that does not rely on medications, but rather teaches you very effective, practical methods that you can develop yourself between sessions for working on your anxiety or depression or any other emotional problem. Counseling via Skype is a very convenient and also very effective approach. When you use Skype, of course, you can see each other, and that is very important for online therapy because it increases the effectiveness of communication, and it will greatly improve the outcome of your therapy sessions. So that's why we use Skype. But I also accept FaceTime and other platforms as well. Skype calls are very confidential and encrypted. So you can rest assured there that your Skype communications will be kept confidential. But for most people, it's equally as good as meeting a therapist in person. People approach me because they have a specific interest in counseling via Skype, because they can't find a local therapist in their location, or they're living abroad, and they want help with someone who speaks their language, and also someone like myself who specializes in mindfulness therapy. If you would like to learn more about this service, then please go to my website and read more about online mindfulness therapy. If you'd like to schedule a Skype counseling session with me, then please reach out to me by email, and we can schedule a counseling session at a time that works for you. During each session, I will teach you very practical mindfulness methods for working with your emotions. The first method we call overcoming the problem of reactive identification. So the most typical situation is that we develop habits and conditioned reactions whereby anxiety or depression is triggered by certain triggers, either externally or internally in the form of thoughts or other internal experiences. That could also be physical experiences, physical sensations. Whatever the trigger, it effectively triggers an internal habit, and that habit creates the emotion. And for most people, this happens quite automatically. It happens unconsciously, as indeed all habits operate that way. So the first thing that we learn is how to break these habits, how to overcome the anxiety habit or the depression habit or the OCD habit or whatever it might be. And we do this by deliberately focusing on those thoughts and emotions and other sensations and other triggers, and we work with them in a very strategic and focused way. The idea here is that you learn how to break free from that habit when you are exposed to the trigger. So we do this by a method called Mindfulness Meditation, whereby you meditate on your anxiety or depression, or on the specific triggers that trigger your anxiety and depression. And by bringing consciousness to your experience, you're able to break this habit so that you can be with that trigger and not experience anxiety or depression. Then, through the training of mindfulness meditation, we then go out and find these various triggers. So, for example, if it's driving anxiety, you would set yourself a challenge, and you would drive a particular stretch of road that has those external triggers that trigger the anxiety, and you would test your training out to see how well you have neutralized those anxiety habits. So we do it in a very strategic way. We combine mindfulness meditation training with exposure therapy, if you like. And this approach is very, very effective indeed. So exposure therapy by itself is not sufficient. Just hoping that you will desensitize yourself by repeated exposure is problematic. Sometimes it works, but sometimes you end up reinforcing the emotional habit. You must bring consciousness to this process, and that's what mindfulness is. Mindfulness is a form of conscious awareness that specifically brings consciousness to the experience that you are focusing on, but without any form of reactivity to that experience. So it's a very direct form of consciousness. It's non-reactive consciousness. And that's very, very powerful for overcoming the habits of emotional reactivity. There are lots of other things we do during sessions, and I will teach you lots of ways of working with your anxiety or depression or OCD or PTSD using mindfulness. So if you'd like to get started with counseling via Skype using mindfulness, then please contact me and let's schedule a Skype therapy session. Thank you.